Kalen DeBoer spoke to the media at the Regions Golf Tournament, and one thing he said was that the quarterback room needs to keep getting better. It's simple advice, but I think there's more to it than you think. Transfer portal, additions, non-additions, we know where the areas in need are, but it sounds like he might be happy with some guys that are internal, and he's also excited about the guys that did transfer in. We're going to get into that and as well. And who's going to punt the football? Does Alabama feel comfortable with their situation in the punting game? Special teams, all that right here on the Bama Tailgate YouTube channel. Thank you guys for being here. We're brought to you by Pearl River Resort over in Philadelphia, Mississippi. Let's get this thing going with a big roll tide. What do you say, everybody? Mick Gillespie here on the Bama Tailgate YouTube channel. Got a lot to talk about today, and appreciate all of you guys at Broadcaster Mick on the socials. All right, try to do this every single day. Some days there's things to talk about. Some days during the offseason you really scramble. I thought that this was a pretty good day to talk about football because I think that there's a lot of stuff to get into. And I wanted to start with this right here. Kalen DeBoer was asked at the Regions Golf Tournament about the quarterback room, and he said, hey, I just need those guys to keep getting better, to keep improving. I think that that's important. We all think that Ty Simpson is the guy that's going to be the starting quarterback for Alabama. It feels like that he's in position for that job, that he's ready to be the starting QB, and that he's beat out the rest of the quarterbacks. I think Jake Coker told me on one of our shows that it would be a disaster for Ty if he didn't start at quarterback. I mean, just the way that things have lined out for him, the success that he's had on the field, the way that he went through spring practice, and the fact that the coaches have said, hey, this is going to be our guy, Austin Mack and Keelan Russell, and obviously Ty Simpson need to all continue to get better. The offensive line should be solid around them. You figure Jam Miller's going to have a great season as your featured back, but you got a lot of depth at the running back spot, and the wide receiver room is absolutely stacked. Ryan Williams, Jeremy Bernard, Isaiah Horton, who's going to be the fourth guy. I mean, you keep hearing about Meadows and Brooks and Adams and, obviously Jalen Hale. I mean, you can go through. There's a lot of guys that you feel comfortable with that are going to want to catch the ball and make some plays. So the quarterback's got to keep getting better because there's so many weapons out there. They need to learn the playbook. They need to work with their new offensive coordinator, Ryan Grubb, and get a little bit of confidence, go out there and have a little bit of a chip on your shoulder if you're Ty Simpson. Man, you had to wait a long time to get this job, and it's time to run with it and take advantage of all the talent that's around you and lead Alabama, picked as a top 10 team. Some people feel like Bama is a dark horse to win the SEC. I don't even know how, if you're at Alabama with all the returning talent that you have, if you would even consider that a dark horse. I mean, everybody's got them ranked ahead of Georgia, and it's the best conference in football every year. But you feel really good about Alabama, and obviously the quarterback room starts there. Guys, I've got some hats. This is the Coker right here, by the way. We got these in. Some Daniel Moore calendars. Best comment. I'm going to go through and we're going to start sending these out. We've already done that. You got to leave your email address with your comment if you want to be included in this, and then we'll email the winner and then start sending stuff to that person. We'll send stuff to that person when we pick a winner. But do that, and we appreciate you so much for being here on the Bama Tailgate Show. And got some news to share at the end of the show as well. Now, transfer portal additions, right? Bama went out and got a couple of tight ends. We knew that they needed more size at the tight end spot, and they went out there and got it. We figured that they would think about adding an offensive lineman. That hasn't happened. We figured that they would probably want to add a little bit of depth on the defensive line. That hasn't happened either. And then maybe a punter, right? And that hasn't happened. So I'm going to get into kind of what Coach DeBoer said and then give you my take on it. We'll kind of start there. Now, on the offensive line, Olaus Alinen is someone that's been at Alabama for a while. And DeBoer pretty much said, where we felt like, hey, they're going to go in the transfer portal and they're going to add somebody. And he said that now he felt like Olaus was someone that really impressed him in spring practice, and he felt very comfortable with them. I think that's good. We always look at what's out there in the transfer portal, but remember, some of these guys are 4 and 5 stars. Alinen was a 4-star when Alabama got him in 2022, right? He's a player that's been around and has put in his time, and he understands the system. And we've heard this too from people that we know that have been watching practice, that he was one of the standouts in this year's spring camp, spring practice. So it wasn't surprising that DeBoer said, hey, you know what? We feel pretty good about this guy. You don't have to go out there and spend money in the transfer portal and add somebody if you feel like the guys you have can get the job done. There's some young players behind him that you would look around. And one of those guys that he talked about was Michael Carroll. He said he was making strides. He was talking about the different spots that he could play on the offensive line, what he brings to the table. But what DeBoer wanted to do was basically have these guys that have been there be in the playing roles and then not have to rush some of the younger players into a spot where they could, potentially struggle. So I thought that was a good sign. I really did. Alinen is a player that would make perfect sense. You already have him there. You know that this offensive line is going to be talented. I mean, think about the 3 mainstays that you already have on this line, right? Caden Proctor, who a lot of people going into this year think he's going to be a potential top 10 draft pick. Jaden Roberts last year was dealing with an injury. I think he's going to be healthy. Parker Brailsford at center I thought was really good last year, and he's back again. So there's 3 guys. Wilkin Formby is someone that we're all expecting to kind of step up. And so, we'll see. But just the way that DeBoer talked about that, it just felt like, hey, don't expect another offensive lineman. We feel like we've got the guy that we need in that spot, and for him to just the glowing review that he gave on Olaus tells me that he's pretty comfortable with what he brings to the table. Now, the other question that a lot of people have is punter, right? And Alex Asparuhov missed all 15 practices. He got a knee injury in high school, and this is a super important part of football now. In the years that Alabama had bad punters, you get bad field position, bad things happen. When they've had great punters like Burnup, like J.K. Scott, guys that can flip the field, it changes the game. And it's something that I always felt like Coach Saban kind of at the beginning of his time at Alabama didn't really put a lot of time in the kickers, right? And then the better the kickers got, the better Alabama did, right? So I don't know if they're going to add another punter or not. DeBoer talked about basically that Alex was missed practice, but he expects him to be back out there sometime soon, coming back from a knee injury. There's some depth there a little bit in that position. A lot of people felt like, though, if the right punter came available, that Alabama may sign him. And I'd say that that's a possibility, just because of the fact that when you miss every single practice and you haven't been out there to show everybody what you're all about, it makes coaches and honestly, it would make us fans pretty uncomfortable knowing like, well, hey, we can't really figure out what we're getting from this guy, right? So we'll see. But I feel like if there's a move to be made, maybe punter is that type of move. I don't know. Hey, guys, as you hang out, say Roll Tide with a like. We appreciate you so much. Subscribe to the channel as we try to pick things up. We'll have Shank on later this week. Now, one thing I did want to tell you guys is this. Let me throw this up here. The Tailgate Show, which this channel basically started because we wanted a channel for the Bama Tailgate Show. And the Tailgate Show is a radio show that airs before Alabama football games across the state of Alabama. Well, we moved to Classic Rock 106.9 this past season, and on Saturdays had the best rating in the market, part of their coverage of Alabama football that leads into the Crimson Tide Sports Network. But, I mean, you're talking about absolutely destroying our product, the rest of radio, on game days. So that's Jake Coker. That's all the crew that we have on there, the late, great Big Sexy Elmo, our buddies from Gaten and Grillin'. Everybody that's a part of our show, all of our great partners like Pearl River Resort, our friends at the radio station, John Olson and the gang at Summit. We're really proud of that, to be number one, the number one basically listened to program and this Birmingham and Tuscaloosa on game day. I'm not talking about beating other sports stations. I'm talking about by far dominating the market. But you guys love Alabama football. We appreciate you for being a part of what we do, whether we're at Innisfree with the show, whether we're at the floor Bama or somewhere else, hanging out with Jay Coker, getting to know you guys. It's been just an absolute thrill, and we look forward to doing it again this season. And thank you, all of you guys that listen to the show, that watch the show on here, that support what we do, because it's been great, and I can't even tell you when I was basically let go by my old station, a show that, I was a part of, not maybe from the very beginning, but pretty early on, and replaced. I didn't know what was going to happen. And all that's happened is that, we've connected with you guys, and you guys have lifted us up, and it has been just fantastic. And if you don't know about the Tailgate Show, the radio Tailgate Show, we're on, in all the markets in Alabama, and then you can watch it right here on this channel every game day. But we record it on Fridays, and then it airs on radio on Saturday. And some of you guys are even asking, hey, when we're going to be at the floor Bama, you want to come down and plan your vacation to hang out with us? Man, that means so much to me. So hopefully we'll see a lot of you guys this season. And Coker's wanting to take the show to Tallahassee for the Coker Bowl. I don't blame him. So we'll try to get the schedule out on where we're going to be sometime soon. But thank you for making our show number one. And we'll hope that we'll just try to continue to do our best to keep you interested in what we do. Also, as I talk about on here every show, our promo code is Bama Tailgate. With that promo code, 20% off, newlifeart.com. So I actually got my New Life Art picture. I tried to put it up on the wall here, and then I realized I didn't have a hammer. So I'm going to have to get a hammer, but I got it right over there. You guys are going to see it right here really soon. So you'll feel a lot more comfortable about this show when you see Gene Stallings and that defense from 92 right over here. Boom, part of the Wall of Champions. So you can get your own, newlifeart.com. Use that promo code Bama Tailgate, and you'll get 20% off. And then finally, we can't thank the gang at Pearl River Resort enough. We're going to be down there the 27th and the 28th with our friend Steve Azar, Dancing Rabbit Golf Course, which is the Augusta you can play, the Azaleas, the Oaks, two amazing courses. It's a multi-million-dollar facility. Go inside the casino. The table games and slots are great. Silver Star, Golden Moon, hour and a half from Tuscaloosa, 2 hours and change from Birmingham, around the state. They got a sports book just like out in Vegas, and we appreciate them so much. We appreciate you guys, though. Again, thank you for being a part of making the Tailgate Show number one in Birmingham and Tuscaloosa on Alabama Saturdays. Man, it makes me happy. Roll Tide.